we're speaking about Kol Hamarich Be'echad Marichim Layama V'Shnoisav, whoever lengthens in the word Echad, they lengthen his days and his years. And we explained the idea behind this is that the idea of Marich Be'echad has to do with Vayoma Hu Yeh Hashem Echad Shmo Echad, that the level of Hashem Echad is Hashem Himself. Shmo Echad is talking about how, despite what it looks like there's many different levels, the Eibishter is found in all the levels, all the revelations, because Shem and Oir is the same thing. It's about a revelation. So the idea of Marich Be'echad means he meditates on this and he contemplates the idea how there is in all the different levels of Hashem's letters. Letters, language is revelation. Name is a level of revelation. Oir is a level of revelation. All these revelations that we see throughout Seder Shtalshlus, all of them Hashem is one in. And because of that, so he gets all those levels of revelations, all the letters, all the types of Hamshachas, he gets it down into him, and that lengthens his days and his years. So now the Maimer is going to explain in detail what does it mean, the idea of the different letters as an example of levels. So to understand that, he's going to explain the idea of language, how it is in the person, from the most external to the most deepest source. The explanation of this matter is in we see consider letters in the soul of a person down here below. There's many levels in letters of the person's soul. There are the letters of speech, that these are considered separated and removed from the person. They're not meant to be kept internal. Their purpose is for the outside. Their purpose is for the other. He doesn't need speech for himself. And even a lower expression of this Zulas type of level of letters that is not for the person himself, are the letters of action. Meaning, what's the letters of action? The written letters. This means the general idea of the letters of speech is all for the sake of another. Every revelation to another person, why they through the letters of speech. The letters of speech. Not only is it recognized and not only is it felt within the person himself, as when we will explain later on differences, there are things that are in the Karim and not Nirgashim. Even another that is in our presence and we're speaking, that person can feel our letters, it affects them, it's something that they absorb and so on. Are higher than the letters of speech. Are the letters of thought. Through the letters of thought, through the language and thought, the person reveals what's concealed within himself to himself. If you want, he reveals what's in his subconscious to his conscious mind. The oisius elu einam nirgashim el azulas. These letters, the letters of thought, is not something that is felt by someone else. Someone else doesn't hear a person's thoughts. They are both recognizable and felt to himself. And even higher than the letters that have the letters of thought. There's the letters in intellect, which is understanding and comprehension. In other words, every idea, every concept must have letters, because letters, as we mentioned, is about revelation. So for an idea to be able to have any form of revelation, it needs to have letters and language, though it's embedded in the idea. In this itself, there are two levels of the letters that are beyond thought, the letters of the idea itself. There's the external part of an idea, and there's the inner part of an idea. The external part of an idea. So the letters and language is something that's recognizable, and not only is it recognizable, which means he's intellectually aware, but they're actually felt. When a person goes into depth in the innermost concept of the idea that he's busy thinking about, the bechlala, so in general, it's the inner part of the idea, then you could recognize that there is language over here, there are letters, but they are not felt because they are like overwhelmed by the idea that he's absorbed with. The because what's felt is the idea, not the letters. This means when you look from the perspective of the inner level, the innermost level of the intellect, top of page test. So the letters are not what is felt. On the other hand, on the other hand, since it's actually an idea, there's understanding, there's comprehension. So therefore, since there is intellect over here, so there is a recognition, there is an awareness that there are letters and language over here. And even higher than the level of the letters, the way they're in the Pnimis HaSeichel, it's the idea of letters, the way they are in the source of Seichel, Bechinas HaChochma. Chochma, we know in Chassidus, is also called the source of where the ideas come from. It still is not yet fully revealed. It's only like hovering over his brain, the source where the idea comes from, the source where the idea falls into his mind. Or it's not hovering, it does become revealed. But how does it become revealed? It becomes revealed like a flash of lightning becomes revealed. But it's not a complete and full revelation when the Chachma is like illuminating like this flash of lightning. So when we're dealing with the level of Chachma, the source of the Seichel, or the way it's a Barak HaMavrik, these letters are not recognizable whatsoever. Since this is not an existence of intellect, it's not something that's understood and comprehended. That's why the letters are not recognizable whatsoever. Only when there is an actual level of understanding of intellect, then even the pneumius part of that understanding, I can recognize, I could have some type of awareness that there's letters and language. But in that, let's say, that flash of intellect, there's completely no awareness of letters or language. And even higher than that, obviously, in the source of Chacham, in the source of the Seichel. Kol Malkum still in all, Kivashu Gili Balvad, since after all said and done, even the flash of the idea, or even higher than that, the source of the idea, is still, it's a source. The fact that it's a source means that there's a certain type of revelation already coming from the completely concealed part of the person's being. There is also an existence of letters, even in that flash of lightning of that idea. And even higher, in that level that is hovering over his head, the source of the intellect idea. The only thing is, even though there are letters there, the letters are not recognizable, not recognized whatsoever. Just like in the revealed soul powers, there are the idea of letters, because letters are a means of revelation, and the only way how that revealed soul power can be revealed is through letters. So the Rebbe says, also in the transcendent, encompassing soul powers of will and delight that are often referred to as beyond the koiches hagiluyim, they're transcendent, but they are still a koyach which shows on revelation. And because they are a koyach that shows on revelation, so therefore you also have the idea of the concept of letters. He says, Yeshnam Gamkin, there's also letters in the powers of will and delight. Just like in the brain, in an idea, there's a difference between the external level of an idea and the inner level of an idea, that the type of letters and the level of the letters are different. So he's saying the same thing. In a similar vein, it's also in will. There's a difference between the external will and the inner level of the will. The external will, the Hainu Kasher Roitza, is a davar, for example, he wants something. The matter that he wants is not something that really matters to him. It's only he only wants it on an external manner. It's not a deep down need and want. Since the will is not such a powerful and fully lit up by the essence of the soul, so it doesn't cause the letters to become completely absorbed and lost, and therefore the letters can be felt. As opposed to the inner level of the will, when the matter is very important to him, over here it's this, his soul is felt and expressing itself in that will. So then the letters are not something that is felt and is evident. What's felt is the will, which is really the will is an expression of the soul. The letters, the language in which I am aware of the will, I have no thought of the will. In other words, language and letters over here means that he has a conscious thought of it. He's not, when he has this deep drive and will towards something, he's like possessed by the will. There's no consciousness that he's like thinking of the will. And therefore, there's no letters and language over here. In the similar vein, also in the light, there are letters. This means, though there's a difference and distinction between will and delight. Will is also from the word the rushing. The soul is rushing and drawn and pulled towards something from a state of going from above to below. The person is above the thing that he wants. He is going outside of himself. That's what it means, the Momai Lamata. It doesn't make a difference the level of the thing. He could want Hashem. The point is, the Momai Lamata is everything outside of the person is lower, and he is the highest point. He's the central point. So he's rushing towards that thing. On the other hand, delight is something coming into me and causing me delight. Delight is a concealment. It's like it's elevation away from below to above, incorporating and absorbing whatever that is externally that's causing me delight. So perhaps over there we can't identify letters and language. The Kalvach still and all. Because we said the whole idea of revelation has to do with letters. So therefore, it's not just in the will. That's a revelation from above to below. There are letters. Also in the delight, that the idea is ascending from below to above. And seemingly, letters are only when there's revelation. Here it's concealment. It's the opposite of revelation. It's going within himself. Since after all is said and done, even delight is a revelation from the person's essence. Therefore, he has letters in it. Because every revelation is through letters. Now the Rebbe is going to bring in something that we have in Tanya, an even deeper idea. Even higher than that, also in the essence of the soul mamish, there's also letters. Like the Chazal say, or like the expression of Chassidus is hanefesh malea oisius. The soul is filled with letters. But the letters that are in the essence of the soul are not in a mitzias of letters whatsoever. Still there are letters over there. And from these letters that are in the essence of the soul, so afterwards there's an existence of letters. Till there's the letters of speech. So in other words, where do all these different levels of letters come from? They come from that level that the soul is filled with speech. We're holding on the top of page Yud, line 4. We must say that the letters of speech, they are rooted in those letters that are the essence of the soul. And here he's going to bring also something from Tanya about what is the origin of letters. She says, we cannot say the letters of speech come into being through the revelation of speech in the 5 enunciators. In other words, that letters are just created by my lips, one of the enunciators' teeth, another one of the enunciators, my tongue, my palate, etc. It's not that the letters are created from these parts of my mouth. And the Rebbe says, why is it not that way? If so, they would have to take some time until the person calculates and figures out exactly how one should move his lips and his teeth and his tongue, etc., to be able to express the letters. That's one reason why we cannot say that the letters originate in the 5 enunciators. We cannot say that the 5 enunciators are only the means through which the letters become revealed in our world of existence. We're going to say it like this. There are no letters in the essence of the soul. There are letters only in the revelation of the soul powers. So if we would say that there are no letters in the essence of the soul, there are only letters in the revelation of the soul powers, so then then every power, the power of intellect versus the power of will versus the power of the light, etc., should have those unique and specific letters that are associated with revelation. And every power should have specifically these letters and this language and not other letters that it shares with other soul powers. It wouldn't be able to have will and intellect and an emotion would not be able to share the same letters. And there would be no difference between one person's choice of words to another person's choice of words, as we're going to explain what he means right now. On the Roin Sheni came, we see it's not that way, that different people can use different words to express the same power, the same idea. On the Roin Sheni came, we see it's not that way. There are many types of letters for every type and distinct revelation of light of the soul. It's like it's explained in many places. Rosh, Varan, all these different commentaries on the Gemara, all these different Rishonim. Often we will find that they are saying the very same idea. But each one uses their own words to express it. If we would say that the root of the letters is from the idea, it's not coming from somewhere higher than that. Since the idea is the same, whether the Rosh is saying it, whether the Tais is saying it, whether the Ran is saying it, why is there a distinction, a difference between the different letters? This is a proof that the root of the letters from the very essence of the soul. That's why every single person says his letters in different words, or says his idea or the same idea in different words. This is based and a result of the different selection of letters, the way they are in his soul. Yet, despite the fact that we have explained that every person has a soul filled with letters from which he draws on to deliver, the letters, the way they are in the essence of the soul, that the soul is filled with letters. It's not an existence of letters whatsoever. Through the revelation of the emotions and the five enunciators, becomes the existence of letters until the existence of the letters of speech. All of this was to explain the different various levels of godly revelation that there is for Elikus to come down. So he says, top of page Yud Aleph, the example of this will be understood above. There are many levels of letters, which letters indicate revelation. There's what's called Oisis Hadibur, Hashem's letters of speech. Where do we see speech by Hashem? Like it says, Nasu, that the word of Hashem, the heavens were made. Just like the letters of speech down here below are separate and felt to another, so too it's also in the letters of speech above. Now we say with the word of Hashem, the heavens were made, the creations with which Hashem's speech made them are separate, just like our letters are separating from us in speech. Though in truth, like Chassidus explains, all creation is not separate from Hashem, at least from their perspective and their feeling and awareness, they think that they are separated. So that is the result of the divine level of Oisadib. And even higher are the letters of thought. From the letters of Hashem's thought came to being the concealed worlds are not revealed, that are not separated. They are swallowed up in their source as it's known. In Spheres, these two levels, the levels of speech versus the levels of thought, are Spheres HaMalchus and Spheres HaBinah. The letters and the creations that come as a result of the Spheres HaMalchus are separate. The whole idea of Ma'ain Melech B'lei Am has to be a nation that's separate from him. Those letters and creations that come as a result of the sphere of Binah, these are the concealed worlds, are not revealed. As it's known, that the concealed worlds reach all the way to the sphere of Binah. Still in all, even those worlds and the concealed worlds of Binah are also an existence of letters. Hainu Metzias the Kalim. Letters and Kalim are the same idea. It's the same idea about revelation. As it's known that what we say in Paschal Yo about their lives and their bodies, Oidus v'Kalim, these are nicknames in Kabbalah for the lights and the vessels. Means Hashem is one with his oiris, and he's one with his vessels. Umisfiris HaMalchus at Sfiris HaBinah. It's from the Sfira of Malchus till the Sfira of Binah we have both Chayoy and Garmoy. El Shebebinah hu inyan ois machshava shein nefradim. But in Binah, it's the letters of thought that are not separated. And even higher is the level of oisiest way down in Sfiras HaChachma. If we look at the worlds, so which world correspond to the Sfira of Chachma? Therefore, it's beyond even letters of thought. That's the world of Atzilus. In the Sfira of Chachma, or in the world of Atzilus, the letters are not recognizable whatsoever. That's the level of Chachma. Chassidus explains that Chachma is primarily Iyu v'chayoy yichad, because the Garmoi, the Kalim, are completely swallowed up and part of the light.